Hi Capricorn, this is your June 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, it's your reading. Thank you for joining me on the channel. It's Romy here. We are going to open up for you this month with the energy of the Queen of Pentacles. Now, here's where I think you're at. You feel liberated by some of the choices and conclusions that you have arrived at. But now, this month specifically, it's a time to start making the adjustments that are needed in order to honour and respect those conclusions and choices. And perhaps there's a little bit of a figuring out as to what that needs to look like. We're in 6th house energy through Gemini season, and so the way that you approach things and how the day-to-day experiences sort of add up to give you, the overall energy of how you're moving through this time really matters. And one of the things that I keep hearing you say through the month of June is, what if? Now, that can be interpreted both positively, but also from a place of challenge, because we can say, well, what if this can lead to something even better? What if this is the break I've been looking for? What if this is what really holds the opportunity for me to be the best version of self or to make my dream come true? But we can also be directing that from a place of, what if this doesn't work? What if this was all for nothing? So really pay attention to where that phrase is coming up or something similar, and the direction that you're taking it, what you're making it mean. Now, I feel with that energy of the Queen bringing forth that earth energy that's so your currency, that actually June is going to be a very supportive space and month for you. I think there's a flow and a harmony for us to tap into. It's not without its challenges. We've got a little bit of a mid-month triggering to navigate. But early on in June, Venus shifts into fellow earth sign Taurus, and you're looking to nourish and nurture and actually really take care of your needs in a way that's going to be supportive for what happens next for you, right? And that might mean that we have to readdress some boundaries. It might mean that you have to be incredibly focused to try to be consistent as much as you can. That's not always easy because, life happens and emotions happen. But nonetheless, I think it's that sort of consistent presence and intention towards the things that you are aspiring to that really are going to be the game changer for you this month. And there's a harmony that comes in, I think, with Venus and Taurus. We've also got Mercury shifting into Cancer. So, we're moving into much more of this gut feel territory, okay? And of course, big news happening also is that Jupiter is coming into Cancer, exalted in the sign. There's an ease to which Jupiter moves through Cancer. And, we're sort of shifting from this more thinking to more feeling place, right? You have justice coming through here. You're meant for more. You absolutely know that you're meant for more. And I think that Jupiter's conversation and the way that it sort of talks to you is going to be a little bit prompting, It's kind of like not I dare you, but it just kind of feels like, well, come on then. You know there's more out there for you. You're capable of more. You're deserving of more. So how are we making this happen? And so over this next year, like, pay attention to sort of how it feels to you with that shift taking place. But you're going to be working with that energy for a little while. Justice coming through wants to balance a situation out, okay? Now, interestingly, you are turned away. I see you as the Queen of Pentacles. You are turned away from the scales of justice and balance here, which tells me that, there's something of an imbalance here, and we kind of need to turn around and face and acknowledge something in order for this to come back into its right alignment. So what are you distracting yourself from? What is the elephant in the room? What is the thing that you're like, this is too difficult, too complex, too much? There's something about being able to just quietly in June and, without a lot of parade, without a lot of hoo-ha, just kind of be like, all right, let's just sit down and figure this out. Now, I think that you can get to some really important conclusions. And, in a way, sometimes we need to strip the emotion out of something in order to just follow a series of steps, to follow a process in order to shift something, especially if it's just felt a little bit stagnant. Yeah. So we make our way towards the full moon in Sagittarius on the 11th of the month. And of course, that is in your 12th house. And so there's a deep need to release and to let go. I think it's affording you a chance. 10 of Pentacles here. Again, that's sort of coming to the conclusion of a cycle here. I think it's affording you the chance to really reevaluate something, and also your part in it. You know, there's a strong sense of accountability that's landing on all of our doorsteps at the moment, you know. Something takes on new meaning for you. And when you step up and kind of own it, it almost enables you to fully commit to the new life that is shaping itself for you. And, you know, I know, Capricorn, that you've been in this transition of one foot in the old, one foot in the new. We all are. But there's only so long that you can kind of keep that bridging of the gap. At some point, we have to just kind of release from the comfort zone, and we have to go all in with something. Okay? And, you know, there's a sort of a task, an approach, if you like, that might be super helpful for you to just consider as you move through June, especially in that mid-month, because there's something going to be a bit triggering, right? We've got the full moon, but then we have Mars and Uranus coming together, squaring. Mars in Leo, Uranus in Taurus. And then we have Jupiter newly in Cancer and Saturn newly in Aries squaring same day. Not an easy combination. Something old, right? Connected to security versus freedom. And something new coming in. Again, connected to wanting to grow and expand and feeling tethered or held back in some way. But the Jupiter-Saturn's bringing something new to light that's going to need to be addressed. So on the whole, you know, it's a difficult conversation to be having, but it could also really lend itself to you getting very clear, absolutely sure and intentional, and sort of almost finding a second win or a kind of fight in yourself that is needed in order to deal with something, to show up and to fully face it in the right way. I also want to remind you, right, that you're going to have to be very mindful of where you get to be your true authentic self and where you are still holding yourself back in terms of the people and the energies that are around you. Okay, I think that's going to be something that comes up quite poignantly through that mid-month. And again, maybe making you feel a bit uncomfortable or pressured in some way, or the tension, and then sort of bringing that kind of, well, what if life wasn't like this? And, you know, back to this approach, this task that I'm talking about, you know, there's 3 different versions of your life in the next 5 years, right? The first one is looking at exactly the same, the status quo, the same job, the same routine, the same direction that you're taking. You know, the second one is where you are in 5 years with a complete redesign, you know, where everything looks and feels different. You've taken a new job, maybe you've moved, maybe you've changed your relationship. You know, some major aspect of your life is unfolded in a completely new way. How does that feel versus how it feels to continue in the status quo? And then the third one is about, you know, what would life feel like if there were no limits from a financial abundant perspective, and certainly no influence in terms of the opinions of others. Where does that leave you? Now, I think, you know, this is an exercise that's super useful to really just focus your mind and get you into a place that says, you know, if I keep doing what I'm doing, where is this taking me? And because I see you making this bigger shift and sort of going all in with this changing of the guards experience that's underway in 2025, and we're midpoint, right? We're mid-year, so it's a very powerful time for you to do so, especially as we then start to shift into Cancer season and that 7th house is illuminated for you. Now, Mars in Virgo on the 17th, as we come out of some of those 10 squares, is affording you insight in order to how to take the action, but do it in a way that feels like you've not missed anything. And I do think that is important as well. Your 10 of Pentacles, you know, could suggest, another 10 coming through here, that you know, there's something to do with this sense of stability and security around you. There might be something going on connected into family, but it's also like what is right, what is just. And, you know, maybe on a more practical level, you know, some of you are looking at inheritance or how money flows to you, or, you know, the state of the nation in regards to legalities connected into family or situations or property, anything like that. The fact that we've got these tens coming through though and justice tells me that there's also an ending. There's a finite amount of time that you're going to have to deal with something. And that's positive because it feels like it's going to free you up. It's going to afford you more of an opportunity to now immerse yourself, devote yourself, invest yourself in the things that are meant for you at this time. And you've maybe felt that push-pull, you've maybe had that conflict really powerfully because you felt like I've got to be over here or I've got to do this. And you know, there is a sense that maybe you're going to feel let down, or maybe you even have felt exceptionally let down, and that in itself has actually enabled you to reevaluate. It's like, wow, I've wasted all this time, you know, giving over here or doing this, and it's not, you know, it's not really transpired in a way that feels like it's reciprocal, or that it's balanced, or that it's a situation that's going to, you know, enable me to keep doing that thing, right? So again, back to this what if? What if I weren't a part of this anymore? What if I didn't do this? And even if you are feeling like somebody has let you down or feeling exceptionally confused about the behavior of others, be mindful around the 18th where Jupiter and Neptune are squaring in a somewhat sort of difficult narrative astrologically. You know, you're also going to come to the conclusion, I think, around that time that, you know, I just don't want to take this on. I just, you know, it's not something that is worth my while in continuing to try to process or resolve. So, you know, again, there may be this aspect of you that just allows yourself to detach a little bit. And here's where the flow energy and the harmonizing energy of June can be incredibly supportive for you. Okay. Of course, we're going to welcome on the 20th solstice and the sun shifting into Cancer. Solstice, equinox, these energies are so powerful and beautiful when we embrace them. We've got the energy of the Nine of Wands, and you actually look at peace, even though there's an understanding, you know, that something has depleted you or been quite an emotional or physical drain for you, okay, but it's ending. And even if it's not ending in the best way, maybe if there's a little bit of a messy ending even, okay? That's a bit life at the moment, isn't it? And is change ever anything but a little bit messy, okay? Even if it's not for you directly, it can be messy for people around you when you change, right? So in some way, shape or form, there's always something that's going on that's a little bit out of sync with itself. But in the center here, you're looking at peace. You're understanding that, you know what, this is a little bit bigger than me right now. I'm in this state of, I've got to move with this energy. I've got to flow with this energy. And again, there's this perseverance. You know, there's this sort of, don't give up on the things that are important, because this month, it's the small incremental steps that are going to keep you focused. But you see what's going on in the background, and you can see like her whole body made up of the galaxy. It's like what goes on in the background are like monumental leaps that are underway by like almost divine decree, you know? So you don't have to be the one that's necessarily feeling like you have to take these enormous steps forward. It's like you just keep taking care of the small details right in front of you, but also be open and allow the flow when these portals of possibility show up, because that's what you need to grab when it happens. That's what you need to say, I'm going to fully commit to this. Now, there's a rebrand of sorts going on for you, you know, and however that shows up, you know, the way that you're thinking and how you want to be expressed, you know, whether that's in business and personal life and the relationship status, like something is shifting and changing there. Shadow work is coming through here as an additional card in this particular deck, but she's holding something so powerful in her realization that is enabling you actually to find the courage and the heart to persevere, but also not to distract and to face whatever it is that you need to. Back to what I said, you're meant for more. So why are you holding back? Or where are you holding yourself apart from this? And I hear it. I feel like there's some frustration around that, you know. Maybe that's a conversation that's played out for many years. But the thing about 2025, and the thing specifically about this season now, Capricorn, is, okay, but I know myself more intimately. I'm more awakened spiritually. And so you're able to kind of hold the wisdom and have the capacity to go deeper than you ever have before. That's the difference of the breakthrough and the shift that takes place now. And from solstice energy, as you almost sort of welcome that, you know, you go into the shadow but come back into the light. That harmonizing energy as you build up to the new moon in Cancer on the 25th brings about a conversation, right? Maybe one that you've been a little bit sort of trepidatious to have, but you're going to have it. And it's going to be like, I'm so glad I did. There's going to be an absolute weight off your shoulders. There's going to be a flood of relief that comes through. You're going to realize that actually something can resolve itself and end up working better than you thought it would. So a lot of fears or anxieties that you might have around something are very unfounded. You know, that new moon wants to hold you. Now, yes, it's a bit triggering. It's 7th house, right? It will often show the shadow aspect of self, but it's helping you to sort of almost lean in and anchor like a new direction and a new way forward that is so much more real for you. It just feels so much more like, this is me. And that's why I hear you saying like, this is me. So our last 3 cards we're going to look at in the extended reading. If you'd like to join me, we're going to talk for 25 minutes or so. We're going to look at a personal and a relationship card for you also. It's a way to support the channel. I really appreciate it, and it will give you deeper insights to the month ahead. So I hope you'll come there. Link is below. Now I'm going to clarify the cards. Just see the direction we're going to take this reading in for you, right? We're beginning with the Queen of Pentacles, Prince of Wands coming through, Knight of Pentacles. Justice is bringing the 8 of Swords and the Emperor. Now, if you head over to romywiser.com, if you are looking, another 10 of Pentacles there, if you are looking for a personal reading, you're going to find ways to work with me. You'll also find my Sacred Trilogy. This is my Oracle deck, my journal, my book, special offers for those titles, as well as my reports. I've got a brand new astrocartography report come online, so if you've bought the Goddess or Angel reports previously, please do check that out. Ways to feel supported through my guided meditations and my membership. So everything is over there, romywiser.com, if you enjoy my work. 8 of Cups, that's an interesting one coming through there. You are just ready actually to move on from something. You really are. What would life look like without the burden of something around you? June is giving you a glimpse of that. Okay, we're just going to look at Life Soul Vision Oracle. This is my deck. So, Earth, Medicine and Magic cast their spells. We've got the Collective Heart. We've got Blossoming Soul Song, Sacral Energy, the Spirit Horse, and we've got Honesty at the Edge of Quiet. Let's have a look at a couple more oracles for you. So this is for Capricorn for June. Ocean Cradle, beautiful. And one more. Nice, Freedom. I have a dream speech. That's powerful, isn't it? Okay, Capricorn, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in the extended if you are able to join me. And have a beautiful month of June and solstice. I will see you again next time.